Hey everybody, I hope you're having a fantastic day. I got a couple of these cheap LED lights off Amazon. They were 3 for 40 bucks, video lights, and they say they're 1,000 lumens, run off of USB, 70 LEDs, and overall I was pretty happy with the quality of the light and how all that worked. There were a couple things though that I didn't like about them, and I thought maybe we'd take a look at that and see if there's anything we can do. The first thing is when you plug them in, although the power light lights up, they don't actually turn on. You have to turn them on manually. And I don't really want to do that. I don't really want to fumble around for each one of them to be able to turn the thing on. And so I was kind of wondering how this whole thing here works. I don't know if it's PWMing. I don't know if there's like any kind of current limiting resistor inside this thing that makes this necessary, or could I just plug a USB cable straight in here and just bypass it? I don't really care about the dimming feature. That doesn't really mean a whole lot to me. If I wanted to, I would just turn on just one, but like I don't really have that much of a need to have dim light. I need a lot of light. And so what I was going to see first of all is do a little bit of a test with this thing and see how much current it's drawing when I plug it in and put it on high, and just see. I won't have to blind you guys, but we'll turn it on high and go up to the maximum. So is that max brightness? That looks like max brightness to me. It is drawing 1.3 amps. I don't know if you can see that. It's drawing 5 volts, 1.3-ish amps there. So that will tell me that if I were to disconnect this thing and all of a sudden it's drawing a ton more power, then I'll know that there was some current limiting going on in here. I don't actually want to break this thing open in case I decide to put it back. So let's start off with just taking this light apart and seeing what we have. So I will start off by saying that I have absolutely no plans. It is just a random Thursday night and I am tired of working, so I figured I'd goof off. Now, you may have seen this in a mailbag, but odds are that mailbag won't come out for months after I actually get these lights installed. So we'll just go ahead and see what we can see and see if there's any kind of modifications we can do. Now, in that mailbag, I also bought a little bit of sound deadening for my Studio B. I've had some complaints about the audio over there and the lighting, so my thought was if I can get these things to be something useful, I'll have 2 of these lights over here and maybe 1 over at Studio B where I do the retro computing stuff. So, all right, we've got it apart. And as you can see there, we just have a positive and a negative soldered right to this LED panel. Now, one of the things I was amazed about is how these things are not getting hot at all. And I'm very happy to see I've got a row of resistors across the top, which means that the current limiting is happening on this board itself. And this thing is most likely just PWMing. Now, if I wanted to, I could obviously cut this thing on the other side of this cord and just make the cord shorter. And that would work perfectly fine. But what I want to do is I want to save this, because who knows, I might actually have another use for this where I would want this remote. So I'm going to take the soldering iron and I'm just going to desolder these 2 wires right here. I'll leave some solder on the pads, and now I have a disconnected LED panel. And I'm going to pull this out. Now, this is obviously a relatively thin cable, so I'm going to use another thin cable, and instead of using a standard USB, I'm going to use a micro USB that I have here, because these cables seem cheaper. In fact, I've got a ton of micro USB cables. So what I kind of want to do is find the cheapest, thinnest ones that I have, like that, because that looks like it'll be a good substitute for this. We're not drawing that much current. It's not going to be a problem. So I'm going to cut the micro end off, and let's see, it looks like there's just 2 wires in there anyway. So we're going to strip that back. And I'm going to attempt to tin these wires. Now, sometimes when you get these USB cables, the wires on them can kind of be a bit of a pain in the butt to tin, but I'm going to do it anyway. We're going to tin it, and then we're going to touch it to the panel itself. All right, now this heat's going to travel quick, so I'm going to go quick. All right, now I'm going to see if I can hold that down, just get a little bit more solder on there. That's better. Feel better about that. So now we're going to take this panel and we are going to try to route the wire the same way as the other one. You'll notice there's a strain relief over here, so we're going to come in and around and down. Okay, so I got the wire touched back down into where it was. Now if it pulls out, I'm going to go ahead and hot glue it down there because we don't have a whole lot of wiggle room. All right, I'd say that looks good enough. So let's snap the cover on. And we'll go ahead and put 1 or 2 screws in there just so we can hold the thing together. All right, so that's all I want to do for now, and I want to check, does the light work? And if it does, how much current is it drawing? So we've got the trusty cable here, and it is working. I'll stop blinding you, and we are at 1.4. So I'm guessing there was a tiny bit of PWMing going on, but we're roughly in the same range. So I'll leave that on for a little bit and make sure it doesn't start getting hot. But these LEDs are just, they're cool to the touch. And so I think that's going to work for my needs. When I plug it in, the light's going to turn on. So I know that seems like an easy fix, but I've got 2 more of these to do, and then we've got a few more things to tackle. So the next question I have is, how do I mount these things? And if you look up at my desk, you can see I've just got those 2 puck lights, and I have that somewhat centered 2x4 up there. And essentially, because I have all kinds of things mounted to that 2x4, including this work light, I feel like I can put things in line with that 2x4 and they won't be in my way. So let's take a look. I really like those articulating mounts that they have, and maybe I'll put one in the description, but Amazon, eBay, places like that, you can get these articulating mounts that have the 1/4-20 mounting thing on them. And I really like those things, but they're not cheap. So what I was thinking is that I could actually use this telescopic mount to mount straight above my desk, and in addition I can drop it down if I want to, and I can use this is pretty much a piece of junk, but for now I can actually use this little pivoting head thing here to angle it. I'll probably wind up replacing that, or maybe I'll just decide to keep it on here, but we'll see. And then I thought about it, you know, it's going to be sticking straight up in the air like this, and I might want to take it down one day. And so what I thought about, I already have a hole here. I can actually make a way to do a pin straight through the thing, and then I'll be able to remove it. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So I grabbed a scrap of wood, and it's got this 1 hole pre-drilled. So I'm just going to make sure I'm not leaning toward the outside, and I'm going to drill a 1/8 inch hole through the other side. And there you have it. Now the next step of the mounting is going to involve some conduit straps. I had some of these 1/2 inch ones, which I feel like are a really good fit. I have some metal ones also, but I feel like the 1/2 inch plastic gray PVC ones are going to be good enough. So I'm going to use 2 of them to stop it from pivoting, and I'll mount it and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So all these brackets hold the thing really well. I also decided to throw a number 6 machine screw through there to act sort of as a cotter pin, and it just slips out if I want to. I can loosen the screws, slide this out, and get the mount out of my way. And there you have it. They're both mounted in line with my camera, as you can see. And one of the things I like about it is that I can still use the telescopic mount. I can spin this around. I can tilt this in different directions and get it set exactly where I want, and then just shoot my videos. Now, one of my favorite things about this project is that really nothing was wasted. I wound up with 3 of these extra controllers. I've got these stands over here that I could even steal these nuts off of, or I can put it back together. I could solder these back on 10 minutes a piece or so and have the lights back the way they were. I could put the tripods back together. I only drilled 1 extra little hole in there. But for the most part, I was able to take something that wasn't very useful to me and make it useful. But the question is, how is the lighting? I don't know. I've never tried to film it yet, so we're about to find out. Let's try this. I'm gonna bleep out the word, but turn video lights on. And there we go. We have a nice bright light. Now let's see how it affects my recording here. Can you still see my screen? Yeah, I'm gonna have to work a little bit on my angles and things like that, things like circuit boards and all that, make sure that I get a good angle, but that is very, very well lit. I could even get rid of one of them probably if I wanted to, but there is no shortage of light on my desk now. So let me know what you think. Is it too harsh? Should I back it off a little bit? Or what's your opinion? Anyway, hey, I'll have the links for all this stuff in the description, and I appreciate you guys watching. Have a great day.